For decades, we thought we knew the final boss of biology, the blue whale, the largest animal that physics would ever allow. The blue whale isn't just large, it sits on the very edge of collapse. At more than 80 feet long and weighing up to 200 tons, it exists at the absolute upper boundary of what a living body should be able to support without failing under its own mass. It's not that evolution lacked creativity, but that gravity, structure, and energy place hard limits on what flesh and bone can do. For a long time, that made the blue whale feel unbeatable. The largest animal to ever live, full stop. Then, paleontologists uncovered something deeply unsettling. A jawbone so large it didn't belong to any known whale, yet it rivaled one in sheer scale. That jaw belonged to Ichthyotitan, the only animal ever discovered that could plausibly challenge the blue whale for the title of largest animal in Earth's history. And it wasn't a mammal at all. To understand how shocking that claim is, we first need to agree on what largest actually means. Length alone is misleading. Many animals cheat length by being incredibly thin. The bootlace worm can stretch over 180 feet but weighs almost nothing. That's not gigantism, that's just geometry. Even dinosaurs fall into this trap. Argentinosaurus may have reached over 100 feet long, but much of that was neck and tail. Its mass likely topped out around 80 to 90 tons. Enormous, yes, but still less than half the weight of a blue whale. Mass is what matters. Raw biological matter. And by that measure, the blue whale dominates. It's a 200-ton block of muscle, bone, and blubber, a living freight train. So where does Ichthyotitan land? Based on the fossils we have, estimates place it around 85 feet long and roughly 120 tons. At first glance, that still seems smaller than a blue whale, until you remember something important. 200 tons is not the average blue whale. It's the record holder. Most blue whales weigh between 100 and 150 tons. And here's where the problem begins. We have measured thousands of blue whales. We have found exactly 2 confirmed Ichthyotitan jawbones. The odds that one of those 2 bones belonged to the single largest individual of its species are essentially 0, which strongly suggests something uncomfortable. The biggest Ichthyotitan is still out there, unfound. There's more evidence pointing in that direction. Years before Ichthyotitan was officially named, scientists discovered another massive ichthyosaur jawbone in a region called Ostcliff. It was so absurdly large that no one wanted to classify it. That fossil became known informally as the Ost colossus and sat in paleontological limbo for decades because claiming it represented a true sea monster was just too risky. Now that Ichthyotitan exists as a confirmed genus, that older jaw suddenly makes sense. Its proportions match, its structure matches, and it's bigger. When researchers plug the Ost colossus into the same scaling equations used for Ichthyotitan, the estimated length jumps to nearly 96 feet and the mass approaches 175 tons. That's already within striking distance of the heaviest blue whale ever recorded. And the Ost colossus almost certainly wasn't the maximum size of its species either. If Ichthyotitan followed a growth curve similar to whales, where the largest individuals exceed average adults by roughly 60%. Then the theoretical maximum size climbs even higher. Under that model, the largest Ichthyotitan could have reached nearly 280 tons. The blue whale may not have been the largest animal to ever live. It may have been second. What makes this even stranger is that Ichthyotitan wasn't a mammal. Ichthyotitan breaks that pattern. It was an ichthyosaur, a marine reptile that looked suspiciously like a dolphin. That resemblance is no coincidence. Dolphins, sharks, and ichthyosaurs all converge on the same torpedo-shaped blueprint because physics demands it for efficient swimming. So why was this reptile so heavy if it was shaped for speed? Because in the open ocean, mass equals efficiency. Ichthyotitan lived far from shore in fully pelagic waters. Larger bodies experience less drag per unit of mass. This is why cruise ships are more efficient than speedboats. Ichthyotitan wasn't sprinting, it was cruising. Size also solved another problem: cold. Even during the Triassic, deep ocean water was freezing. Reptiles hate cold. Your body retains heat simply because it's too large to cool down quickly. You become a thermal battery. On land, structural limits cap animals around 100 tons. Past that, legs fail. But water changes everything. Buoyancy supports mass. You don't need legs. You just need displacement. This is why the largest land animals stopped at Argentinosaurus, while marine animals pushed past 200 tons. But even perfect physics means nothing without food. And the late Triassic Ocean was a buffet. More importantly, there were no competitors, no whales, no mosasaurs, no apex rivals. Once Ichthyotitan crossed a certain size threshold, nothing could challenge it. Natural selection rewarded size aggressively. Get bigger and you win. So it did. Then the world broke. 201 million years ago, the Triassic period ended in catastrophe. Being a 200-ton predator works only when the buffet is open. When it closes, giants starve first. This pattern repeats throughout history. The largest animals are always the most fragile during a collapse. Ichthyosaurs survived the extinction, but they changed. They became smaller, faster, and more agile. The cargo ships became fighter jets. For the next 200 million years, nothing filled that titan niche. Marine reptiles ruled, but none reached that scale again. It wasn't until mammals returned to the ocean and evolved filter feeding that true giants reappeared. The Ichthyotitan experiment never repeated. It also couldn't exist today. The conditions are gone. Giant cephalopods are rarer, food is deeper, and sperm whales already dominate that niche. Even if one tried to evolve now, humans would likely stop it. History shows that when humans arrive, the largest animals vanish. Hunting, habitat change, and industrial fishing create a hard ceiling on megafauna. But here's the haunting part. We have found 3 key bones. That's it. Less than 0.01% of all animals ever fossilize. We are reconstructing history from scraps. If creatures of this size were rare freaks, finding their bones at all should be nearly impossible. The fact that we found them suggests they may not have been that rare, which raises a terrifying possibility. Ichthyotitan may not have even been the largest. Something bigger may have existed and left no trace. The blue whale rules today's ocean, but it may be inheriting a crown that once belonged to something else entirely. Evolution doesn't stop at comfort. Ichthyotitan wasn't just big. It was a lost experiment at the very edge of physics. Nature tests limits, then erases them. Thanks for watching.